Right. So what is that we have discussed in the previous session about the craft skills like communication skills, followed by requirement analysis. Next, we have even discussed about functional skills, technical skills, all that. At the same time, what are the different services an IT organization provides, either project-based or product-based, followed by the examples. At the same time, what are the list of documents which BA prepare was discussed so far. And today I'm going to explain about the roles and responsibilities of a business analyst, because whatever the introduction I have given so far to you is only about the business analyst, why, what for, what skill set, all that. But most of the people who are joining as a business analyst in any organization will have a doubt that Raj, what is that are we going to do first, right? So what will be my first work and what will be my last work as part of the role of a BA, right? So it's a common question which comes into the mind of an individual who is new to the field of BA. Hence, I'm going to explain you about the responsibilities of a business analyst. What is that we perform? So it's not only about the business analyst responsibilities here. I am even explaining about the responsibilities on a high level note about project manager, scrum master, and product owner. And before going to start this, let me give you a disclaimer here. Our training as well as the responsibility focus more on BA, not on project management, scrum master, product owner. Okay, that's the first point. I must mention that first. Second, then why I have given these points, right? So what was the reason behind mentioning about project manager, product owner, scrum master, and who are these people? So this is to give a wider understanding about the kind of career graph what a business analyst could be in coming years. For that, on that context, I have given, because most of the people ask us the question, Raj, we are starting our career as a business analyst, and what is our career graph? Because will I be a business analyst forever or not? See, if you can take mine as a profile, assume that, right? So let me take mine as an example. I started my career as a BA in the year of 2001. After my 2000, I completed my graduation. 2001, I started my career as a business analyst. Last 21 years done so far. So I held various designations, various positions. I was a senior business analyst after that. After that, I have moved my career. Of course, I have got an opportunity as well. And at the same time, I moved my career into the Scrum related. So worked on Scrum and Agile environment. I was a Scrum Master come Agile coach, all that. Now I'm an Agile coach, right? So in this is my journey, right? So when you see the journey of an individual, so this is how usually, right? So this is not the same for everyone, right? So somebody may moved into the project management role, and they stay there as a project manager, right? So because due to their security, this thing they want to make it their job more secure, and they don't want to take more risk, right? So they will be taking some management role and they stay there. Somebody will take that opportunity, they take some risk and they move. So in order to explain, or in order to you guys to understand about the career progress or the career graph, So the remaining responsibilities were given, roles and responsibilities were given apart from the BA. Okay, this is the point which I would like to mention before I'm going to start. So our focus will be mainly on BA, but of course the remaining points also I'm going to explain to you. But it's only in a high level note. Okay, take it into that context, not into detail. Even I don't discuss even detail because that's not our core objective of our training, right? So, but that is for a career related stuff. So this information I have given. Okay. Now, so if you are a business analyst, what is the first thing are you going to do, and what is that we have to do? Because most of the people will have it out here. If I am joining as a business analyst, what job responsibility will be provided for me on a first day? Means first day means in the initial days, right? So that's what the question here. See, through observation, we get to know many things, as you know well. And whenever we joined in any organization, especially in reference to the role of a BA, they don't assign the task on the day first itself. Usually, in some of the occasions, usually they don't. Because if the project, unless until if the project is in the middle of the time, because there will be two conditions. Sometimes we get an opportunity to become a business analyst for a new project. New project means right from the scratch, we need to start. We need to build the project right from the scratch, right from requirement gathering, interacting with stakeholders, it's understanding the requirements, all that. So that scenario is different. But the other scenario is that sometimes, not all the times, sometimes they may require some business analyst in between of the project. Happens, because I don't say this is happens in regular intervals. This also will happen. Sometimes they may require a business analyst in middle of the project. In middle of the project. So whenever they join, so they have to adjust to the environment as fast as they can, and they have to move on, right? So maybe you may, because that time assume that the project was already started, people were started working on the coding. Now you are a BA to liaise the things. So these kind of things, situations will also happen in some profiles. I'd say, I don't say, I'm not generalizing this. If that was the case, you need to understand the situation of the project followed by the scenario, and you need to move on further very fast, right? So that's a thing. But whatever the explanation I'm giving right from the beginning. Now the first point is that understanding the business problem is what, being a BA, we have to do first. Let me write down on the Word document so that you'll be understood much better. Responsibilities of a business analyst are as follows. Remember again, I'm taking this point of sale system as an example, and I'm explaining to you as I taken the same example earlier. Let me take the same example here as well, right? So for a better understanding. Okay, so keep this point into an account. Now, responsibilities of a business analyst are as well. So the very first thing is that understand the business problem. Business problem understanding is what, being a business analyst, you need to know first. So if you'd like to understand about the business problem of a client or a customer, there are few points we have to keep into an account. So means if you'd like to study about the business problem of any of the customer, there are few questions which will be grilled us, and where we need to get answers for few things. Because especially for a BA role, please remember, you must be having a clear understanding and clear mind. That is really required and essentially needed. But for the other profiles, I don't say that. But being a BA, because you will be the one who is going to create a roadmap for a team to develop the project, because you are the one who is giving the features of the project. You are the one who is developing functionalities and providing to the team. So that being a business analyst, you need to have a clear understanding about what is that are you doing and what is that you are about to deliver, or what is that you are about to assign. So business analyst should have a clear mind and should have a clear understanding. This is one thing for sure. So if you are a BA, the very first thing is that you need to understand the business problem. So if you want to understand the business problem, there are few questions where you need an answers for yourself, means for you and as well as for your team. The first point, why client has approached us. First point, why client has approached us. What made them to approach? What problem or problems are they facing? In their business? To what extent they have a clarity on that? So first of all, you need to have a clear understanding about these things first, right? So first of all, you need to know why client has approached us, for what reason, what made them to approach us, what problem or problems are they facing in their business, and what to what extent they have a clarity on that. So for that, what is that you have to do is that first of all, you need to study the existing system. First of all, you need to study the existing system. This existing system, normally we call it as, this existing system, normally we call it as is. In business analysis terms, this is what we call it as is. This is a BA terminology, right? Existing system. So I'll give you an example here. Let's say, as an example, POS stands for point of sale application. Is using by a client called X, right? So the company name is X, right? Client called X is using a point of sale system. So this one, this they are using POS for very long time. Assume that since since last 8 years they are using it, right? For example, so they are using uh, this point of sale system for last 8 years. Earlier, their volume of business is very less, their customer base even less, and whatever the products they were selling were also very limited in percentage, right? So they don't have different products on that. So the products are very less in percentage. But now the situation has changed in such a way where their business have grown to the next level. Assume that they have only one store, right? Assume that as of now they have only one store, but still that's running very fine. They are getting a lot of customers every day for buying products to their store. At the same time, they have introduced different other products, the lines of services in terms of selling and all everything were introduced by that organization. Now, as it is a common thing, because for example, if you are using QWERTY keypad mobiles earlier, as I mentioned earlier, even in the beginning time, also have given this example. So we used to use QWERTY keypad mobiles in the beginning days. After that, now we were using Android phones, iPhones, right? All that. So communication system remains same. In as far as the communication system itself is concerned, if you see, that's remain constant. You never see any difference in communication because that is for incoming calls and outgoing calls. But then why you have changed the mobile? Due to your personal and professional experiences or requirements, right? So you are changing mobile from time to time. You may be buying an Android phone now, or you may be buying an iPhone tomorrow, or else you may be buying some other stuff in coming years. So the basic quality of a mobile phone remains constant. It is for receiving calls and making calls. This is the standard one for every mobile. But whatever the other features, either it may be WhatsApp or it may be social media, this thing or whatever the reason it is, the remaining things keep on changes from time to time, depends on the market conditions, depends on the business condition, all that. So the same way, personally, professionally, what is that you require, you are changing now. Because nowadays, if you see, due to the pandemic condition, pandemic situation, people were forced to work from home, right? So that's what happened last 2 years. Usually across the world, that was the condition. Well, of course, slowly now situations were getting better and we were going to offices, but still earlier, right? So that time, if you observe closely, there were a lot of sales happened for these communication devices, for laptops, even for mobiles, even because even children were sitting at home and they're listening the sessions, right? So we don't have multiple laptops at home, right? So maybe one, maximum two, right? So that's how it is. But if a wife and husband is working there are two different laptops. Again, one iPhone is not sufficient because assume that there were two more children, right? So we are buying one or two more mobiles and connecting them to meeting or Microsoft meeting or something so that they were even listening classes. So depends on the requirement to requirement. Whatever the communication system are we changing and all everything happens from time to time. It's happening the same way. You cannot expect whatever the point of sale system using by the customer will be useful to them throughout the project, throughout their business, right? So due to the increase in the volume of their business, they wants to change their, or they wants to upgrade their application to the next level. So what is that they want? Assume that there are some problems. What are those business problems? Problems are as follows. Problems are as follows. First problem, delay in billing. Why delay in billing? Because there were very few point of sale systems in that particular store. Only two counters they have. First point, that could be one reason. Second, even though that system was there, that system configuration was very old. So usually billing time will take not more than 5 minutes. This is the standard rule. Assume that, right? So this is the rule you had made. But due to the system performance and the configuration, as the whole system is very old, it is taking more time, right? So it is taking more than 5 minutes. It is taking 10 minutes, sometimes going to 15 minutes even. So what is happening now? Due to the due to that context, delay in billing happening. Because of the billing delay, what is that happening here? Customers have to stand on queues for a long time. If this is a regular practice happens, customer may feel reluctant to come to the store again. So the long-term result is that retail store has a probability of losing the sales, right? So one is delay in billing, first problem. Second, technical issues. Because technical issues means, for example, this application is a technical standalone application, standalone point of sale system. So as it is a technology, usually there are some problems which we arise, right? So there must be someone should come here and they have to clarify it. That's how the situation is. But the condition is not it, not that way. Okay. So usually that was the situation. But if that was the case, what happens? Someone should come and address the problem and they have to repair it or something, connectivity issues or something, like some personal addressing of that solution to be resolved is needed. If it's a standalone application, which one are we using for a very long time? So that may be taking a lot of time for us to do it faster. Sometimes whatever the work we do for the particular POI system will get halted for some time. So this is one thing. Third point, unable to see reports online. Let us say customer has one store now, but customer has an idea that I want to open multiple retail store across different places in the same city. Either it may be, assume that it's in the same city. They want to open different branches of the retail store in coming years. That was their intention. So if it's a single store, okay, it is manageable so that he can manage the things. But in future, his expectation, this is what we call it as vision, we call it, right? So his vision is different. His vision is to expand his retail services and all everything to different places of that particular state or that particular city or that particular country, whatever it is, right? So that's what their vision is. Now he want to assume that his vision is to expand his retail store operations by opening different units in that particular city in coming 5 years, right? So down the line for 5 years, this is what his goal and vision, which is that they want to achieve. So a business owner cannot stay at one place, right? So he used to travel. But what is going on, right? So how much sales happened? What is the stock position? Everything customer wants to see online, wherein existing point of sale system doesn't have that provision to do so. So what they want some sort of application where he can see reports online. So these are the few, of course, I mentioned few points here. So these are, we call it as business problems. We understand, everyone, right? So these are, we call it as business problem. So business problem is what we have studied. When it will happen, when we are trying to study the existing system, the as is system, first point. Second, when we are interacting with different stakeholders and all, because if you remember yesterday, I have shown you about business analysis activities. At the same time, I have explained even about business user. So business user, business requirements, business owner, business requirements, business user, user requirements, right? All that I have explained, if you remember in the study session, when I have explained you about BA activities, all that. So all this, when you are interacting with them or when you are trying to understand the system, you will be knowing about what features and what functionalities this existing application has. Based on the interaction with stakeholders or users, followed by through observation, we get to know many things anyway. So we come to know what finally customer is expecting out of this. Understood, everyone? Right. So this is what generally the business problem stands for. Right. So this is what the business problem which you have studied. This is what generally we have to do first. Right. Existing system is what it is, as is. Existing system, nothing but as is. As is system is what is that you have to do first. So once existing system you have identified or you have understood, the next is proposed system. Proposed system means to be. In business analysis terms, we call it as to be. Means what is that you are going to develop, right? What is that you are going to develop is what we call it as business. It's what we call it as a proposed system. Means proposed system. Remember, proposed system means we are not finalizing the solution at this level. We don't do it. What could be, right? What are all the options client is expecting us to include in the existing one, in the existing. What are all the options client is expecting us to include in the existing one? Point number one, right? So what are all options? And we have to see the feasibility, right? Feasibility study is also required, right? So what is feasibility? Feasibility, nothing but possibility. Whether is it act possible or not. So this feasibility may be of different types. Of course, I'll take feasibility as a separate thing, but let me explain. Feasibility of different types. It may be a technical feasibility. Let's say there is an application which was there by the customer is using, maybe in different configuration systems, technology, all that. Now, is it is possible for us to add something new to that existing one? Is it possible, technically viable? Or else do we require to develop a new application as separate, or existing thing can be done or not, right? So that's what technical feasibility is. Again, that is connecting with economic feasibility or financial feasibility. What are that we are charging, right? What are our commercials? What is that we have collected so far, right? So it means what is our budget? I mean to say, right? What is our budget? In that budget, within that budget, what will be our expenses? With these expenses, can we do this or not? This is all comes under economic feasibility. So technical feasibility, first point, economic feasibility, second point. Next, operational feasibility. Operational feasibility means I have developed an application and have given to you. There should be an operational user friendliness is required. So operationally, you should not feel any difficulty being a user to use it. This is what we call it as operational feasibility, right? So is that people could understand it and can they do it or not, right? So all these things comes under operational feasibility. Next, regulatory feasibility. Regulatory feasibility means what are the regulatory standards, policies, and procedures do we keep it in mind when you are going to develop the solution? So here again, I'm repeating, we are not developing any proposed system. So we are choosing options, right? We are thinking of alternatives. All these things happens here. This is what we call it as proposed system stands for, right? So the first one is an existing system, which is called as is. The second one will be called as proposed system, nothing but to be, right? What is that you are going to develop is what comes under proposed system. Once the proposed system done, the next is about the future system. This is an optional thing, of course. I don't say this is really needed, because proposed system means what could be the needs of the customer in future, right? So what was the reason, right? So how the requirements in future customer will be having, right? What kind of requirements customer may be receiving in coming future is what comes under the future system part. So you could ask me one thing here, Raj, why is it required? Because customer is never asking us to do the future system, right? So customer is asking us to develop a proposed system. That's it, not the future one. Accept it. And we are not even in developing any future system also. But in any business, well, retaining your existing customer and you have to get new customers. This is the fundamental rule. You know it. Fundamental rule, right? So you need to retain your customer, get new customers. This is the fundamental rule. So whenever you are providing a solutions to the customer, always you need to keep an eye on what could be their future needs and how can we cater in future, because it must be a long-term relationship to the client so that the business will grow on to the next level. So any enterprise, it's not an IT organization, as you know well, right? Either we are maintaining any business, you have to retain your existing customers, loyal customers. You need to provide valuable services to them. You have to hold them. At the same time, getting new people, right? That's how business will grow. So in an enterprise level understanding, if you see, future system is knowing about the future system, what could be their future needs, just for an assessment purpose. I am not saying to do you to prepare everything, right? So what could be, because for example, you are developing a new application now. For example, let me put you this way. You have developed a new application now, they have started working on it. All of a sudden, the next coming 2 3 years, he is asking you to add some other things into the existing one. Then if you say that again, I'm going to develop a new application as separate right from the beginning, will it be acceptable? No, right? So one is cost, because every time how long you do it, right? So that is the cost matters here. Again, customer has to change their infrastructure if there is any changes happens in the technology, all that. So that will become a burden for them. Next, moreover, apart from all that, users who are their employees are used to the existing process. If you are changing one time, acceptable. But if you are doing it for every time, so they may or may not cope up to the existing things, right? So they may not reach to the expectation is what you are expecting of. So this is what we call it as understanding level, right? So there is a possibility. So you need to understand the future system. So with the minimum cost, you need to provide services to them. That's how our thinking process should be. So that's the reason why when you're trying to understand the business problem, you need to understand the existing system. You need to understand the proposed followed by future system. The next, you need to understand the objectives followed by need and scope. Now, usually objectives of business, it's not project, okay? Objectives are goals and objectives. Goals and objectives of the business. What is that they wants to achieve in near times is what you must be knowing first. That's what I have told some time back. Customer has an interest to open multiple stores in different places across the city. This is what their interest is. So you have to catch up it, right? So the kind of solution, what is that you are going to develop should be on par to that, should be something useful to that context. Otherwise, why is he investing money for the project, right? So he don't invest money, right? So maybe in the solution, what is that you are giving must cater the future needs of the client as well. So we need to understand the goals and objectives of the business. Of course, those will be converted as a project objective. Whatever that you are going to develop will be the same, right? So because you have to meet the same business goals and objectives, whatever you have identified, the same thing you have to convert into your project objective, project goals. Now, these will be again of two. One is short-term goals and long-term goals, or short-term objectives, right? Short-term and long-term qualities. So we have to understand what are their short-term goals which they want to achieve now, and what are their long-term goals. So that sort of understanding is required. So any organization, if you see, for example, if you take any organization, I am doing reverse engineering. Okay, first of all, vision. Every organization will have a vision. In order to reach to that vision, the kind of one which they were identified to move on to the next level is what? Mission, right? Vision and mission. In order to reach that vision and mission, what are their objectives and goals? Objectives slash goals. If they want to reach their objectives and goals, what strategies they want to implement to reach their goals? What are the strategies they want to implement? To implement that strategies, what tactics they follow? Right? Every organization. So tactics they follow to implement the strategies. Why strategies require in a business? Because you want to reach your objectives and goals, either it may be short term or long term. So that is your mission statement, which leads to the vision of the business. Right? So we have to understand the real soul of the business. Being a BA, that is what is required. So because this is an underlying point, this is a cream point which you guys have to understand. Because preparing BRD, preparing functional requirements, preparing UML diagrams. So those are all accepted, right? So those are the means of communication, right? So requirements communication, that is. Anyway, not today, maybe tomorrow you will be experienced on it, right? So because it's a practice, you may not be knowing about how to write BRD today, right? So you may be getting it by tomorrow, or else maybe a day later, or a 1 week, or a 10 days, or a month, you will be experiencing, right? So because it's a constant process, so that is required, but that's not only the thing. Because if you want to write something, or if you want to communicate something either verbally or orally, first of all, being a BA, you need to have, as a business analyst team, I'm saying, not being an individual, but as a team even. Being a business analyst role, you need to have a clarity about what exactly customer is, right? So what kind of customer are we dealing with, right? So what are their objectives and goals? Because this is what generally the business requirements which a business owner or a project sponsor will be giving us. Because in the beginning, I told you, right? So if you go and speak to a business owner never say about what we call business owner never say about what features, what functionalities, all that, right? So then they never get into that. So they don't want even all that. So what is that they require? The business owner always require, what is my investment, right? So when will I get my investment back? ROI, right? So this is what we call it as ROI, stands for return of investment. I'm investing some X amount of money. What is my return? Return in terms of the services or in terms of the financials, whatever it is. But the investment, what is that I have made, should be a fruitful thing, right? Should be useful to me. This is what being a business owner I'm expecting, right? So nothing wrong in it. So that is what the mindset of a business owner. But if you speak to the end users or maybe with other stakeholders, that's not their vision, because they are nothing to do with it, right? So they are part of the business. Remember, they're part of the business, but they are using a point of sale system for different reasons. Whatever the practical difficulties they are facing, they want solution for that, right? So they don't require this kind of thing, right? So they don't want all that, right? What is investment or not? That is from the managerial front, not from the people who works here, right? So there is a difference here, so which has to be understood by us in clear. So this is what generally the objectives is what we need to understand, right? So objectives followed by objectives. The next thing is about, we must be knowing about the need, as you know, right? Need analysis. That's what we call it as need, right? So need also should understand what was the need and as well as the, because based on the business problem, need will be arised, right? Problem first, need next, right? So need analysis and need. What was the need? Why is it important? Why is it so important for a customer for us to provide the solution? All these things comes under the need part. Next, followed by the scope. Scope, nothing but possibility. What are the possibilities when you are going to develop the project? What are the real possibilities do we have? Do we have sufficient manpower? We have. Do we have sufficient technical infrastructure? Is that our people have understood the right concepts of the functionality? Do we have sufficient budget for us to develop the project? Are we having access to get some information whichever is needed for the BIS project and all everything from the client? Are we going to get it? If not, how soon we have to get that? So we need to have a clear understanding about those points well in advance. Otherwise, if you don't have all that, so then there is of no value at all, right? So what we want here, we must be knowing about the scope of the project. Scope, nothing but possibility, right? What are our possibilities, right? So what are our difficulties? Because before, whenever you are working, it's a simple calculation. When you are doing some work, for example, what is that you do, right? You see the possibilities, right? So can I do it? Is it possible for me? What are my deadlines? What are my arrangements, right? So what are the accessible things there with me? Can I do this? Can I do this by individual or with people? And if I'm doing as an individual and people, what kind of problems I may be arising as a depend problems means challenges, I'm saying, right? What are the dependencies, right? What kind of dependencies do we have? So we have to keep all these into an account before you are going to start any work, right? So that's what the thing we do. The same thing we do even for a project event, right? Scope need not be into one context, right? So you need to have a sufficient manpower, technical manpower is required. All these were needed. So this is what we call it as scope of the project. So objectives, need, scope of the project is what we have to study. Followed by this, understanding the business goal, strategy, and vision. Of course, I have already mentioned this point sometime back on the Word document. I hope you understood that. So based on that, we are providing a business solution. Now, what business solution we have given here? So there is a two different things. One is business solution. Second is a technical solution. Remember here again, whatever the explanation I may be giving here as a responsibilities of a BA is a high level explanation, because there are some knowledge areas where you will be getting few more details in that, okay, in coming days. That's the point, right? So solution, right? So what is the business solution? So based on the business problem or the kind of problems, what is that you have understood all these, right? So based on all these interactions you had over a period of time, you have identified, it means you as a business analyst team, you have identified developing a cloud-based point of sale system would be the right choice. This is what you guys have identified. Why cloud-based application? Cloud-based application means it's a cloud account, which will be there on the cloud environment, right? So what happens? You don't require any infrastructure, nothing. If you have a laptop or a desktop is sufficient, where simply you can connect to the system. You can access the application online, and whatever the sales, whatever the transactions we do, everything will be uploaded in the cloud environment. And when whatever the reports you want to generate, you always have an option where you can generate reports, everything online from outside, right? So from cloud environment, wherever you are, you can do it. So at the same time, more advantage is this: you don't require any expertise, all that stuff. Minimum basic training is required for an end user. So infrastructural challenges you don't face. Even in future, if you are using 4 stores or 40 stores, don't have any problem. Doesn't have any problem, because there will be some login credentials will be given to you, wherein you can log in and you can do it. You don't see much difficulty in doing it. So this is what we call it as cloud-based point of sale system. So based on the observation, based on the interaction you had with all the people, being a business analyst team, you guys have identified developing a cloud-based point of sale system would be the right choice. So this is what generally a business solution is. Right. Nowadays, you see, it's very simple. Nowadays, we are using iPhones, all that. We used to have cloud, right? Samsung or whatever, Samsung cloud, right? So you just register yourself using the cloud login credentials, so that whatever the data of your mobile, the data will be stored on the cloud. Sometimes for some reason, if you have lost the mobile, or if you lost the mobile for whatsoever reason, data will be secure, right? So that you can simply log in and you can access the data from a new device. So that your data will be safe there. Samsung, right? Samsung Cloud, iPhone, right? iPhone has that option. So this is how the transformation is going on, right? So because earlier days, if you see mobiles, if you lost the mobile, sometimes in the beginning days, we used to lost all the contacts, right? At the same time, whenever we are changing mobiles and all, we don't have a provision for external memory slots. In the beginning days, I'm talking about. We used to write in a piece of paper. Again, we used to type and store all that in the new mobile. Afterwards, SD cards came. SD cards means you are just simply put that SD card, and the total data, including your contact details, everything will be stored in that SD card. If you select so, not only on the phone memory, even in the SD card memory. If you are changing your mobile, that SD card can be shifted to the new mobile. After that, now we were using less in terms of the memory cards, SD cards, all that. Because cloud, because memory, phone memory will also be there, because different variants of phone memories were introduced in by iPhone and all, right? So different memory spaces based on that mobiles they were introducing. At the same time, we have an option where we have a cloud environment even. So a cloud account also we have initiated. So that's the reason why whatever the solution I was mentioning you here so far, this is all about the business solution. Now this business solution must be converted into a technical solution. Who will do it? Normally technical people will do that. Means which cloud account, which cloud operator or a service provider should we choose? Right. So what are the technical requirements to develop the application? Hardware, software, all that stuff. So all this comes under technical solution. Right. So this is what technical solution. So to translate that, anyway, you need to interact with the technical people and you'll be getting many things from them. So for the translation and all, this communication using these BRDs, SRS and all, everything is being used for that. So BRD stands for business requirements document, completely focusing on business requirements, business problem, all that. SRS stands for software requirement specification. Of course, that will be prepared by the technical team. Means which operating system, which database, programming language, third-party application. If it's a cloud account, which cloud operator environment are we using? All these things comes under this category. Right? So this is what generally communication to the technical team with the help of documentation is what we have to do. This is for the better communication we are doing it, right? So helping Means you have identified the solution, translating your solution to the technical solution with the help of technical team. Means why and how. Again, the feasibility matters, right? So because which cloud environment you are using, how they can provide services to us. Valuable services must be provided to us. At the same time, it must be within the budget and the cost, what is that we were collecting of, right? So all these things will be there. At the same time, we need to discuss even about to the communication team with the technical team, right? What are the BRD part, SRS part? Means communication, right? So you need to communicate requirements. And how do you communicate requirements is also another aspect we have to consider here. Finally, once you have prepared the documentation, you will be giving the documents and all everything to the technical team. And by writing all the features and functionalities, like what features required, what functionalities required, all that stuff. Of course, the features and functionalities, I'll be discussing it in tomorrow's session as separate, especially in reference to this cloud-based, I'll tell you that, right? I'll keep that as separate point, okay? Because if I stop it, I cannot end it now. So it takes time, right? So I'll plan it as separate. So we have to prepare some documentations and all that. So these documentations you are giving to the technical team, so that whatever the functional, non-functional requirements we have identified so far, that has to be developed in a coding form, right? So the coding has to be done by the development team by writing the code for the project. Once the code once the code was written by the development team, once the code was written by the development team, so that code will be tested by the testing team finally. And once everything is there, finally we deploy and it will deliver the project to the client. Meanwhile, if there is any challenges, because major role of a business analyst will be ended up by preparing documentations. Your role will be starting right from analysis to understanding the business problem to translating your requirements into a document format is what being a BA, your role will be officially ended. From there, developers will start doing coding, testing people will start working on the testing part, everything they were doing on their own. In between, if there is any kind of challenges that they are facing, or if customer want us to add something, or if customer want us to edit something, right? So that sort of licensing is what being a BA you have to do throughout the project. So that is the reason why you will be acted as a liaison between business and technical communities. It's not only the job that we have just given the requirements in a document format. It's not only that. What else is required is, apart from that, we must be knowing about how to act liaison between business and technical communities should also be taking into an account when we are working on the projects, right? So this is what generally the role of a business analyst in any of the organization, what is that we do, right? So this is what generally the role of a business analyst is all about. So after the role of a business analyst, next there are possibilities. Senior business analyst, based on your experiences on that, you may become a project manager, right? So if you are a project manager, you will be handling project planning, execution, all that. Means complete project planning has to be taken care of by you, right? Which manpower, how much manpower do we require to develop the project? What kind of model, application development life cycle model do we require to choose? What is the budget? Because project manager will be allocated with some amount of budget. Within that budget, project manager has to complete the task. At the same time, he need to define the scope for the project with the help of business analyst team. At the same time, supporting with architect team as well, because last time also I have told you, architecture plays a vital and important role. I think if I am not wrong, I have explained it right. Right. So architect role, I have told you, right? So I think I have given some example even, right? So we will be discussing with the architect team, right? So if there is any technical, because architecture is a technical thing, right? It's not a functional one. It's a technical architecture will be developed by the technical architect, wherein project manager is supporting them. At the same time, project manager has to support the remaining team members and all that. At the same time, finally, responsibility to complete projects successfully within the specific timelines, within the specific budget is what the responsibility of a project manager. So project manager is responsible for the whole project. Business analyst is responsible for only to the business related stuff, not to the project related ones, right? Business analyst is responsible only for the business related activities. Project manager is responsible for the whole project. So that is what the difference you see, because BA project manager is on top, business analyst is a part of the team. So you are confining and your responsibilities are completely towards business requirements, business understanding, all that, not completely relating to project. But being a project manager, then your responsibilities will be something different, because if you are a project manager, you are responsible for whole project. So this is what generally the roles and responsibilities of a BA, followed by the project manager here. And then what about this product owner, scrum master, followed by what is feature, functionality, all that. That I will be explaining in tomorrow session. So this is all for today. So if you have any questions now, let me explain. Let's see one by one.
Yeah, my question is kind of long. Can I just speak it here?
Yeah, I'm writing here, Sumit. What are some examples of stakeholder interaction? How do you deal with difficult stakeholders? Is that your question here? I think Sumit, right? Yeah. See, stakeholders, nothing but people. See, normally stakeholders, first of all, you need to understand in two different ways. Of course, there is a point called stakeholder engagement. There is a point called stakeholder engagement. When I'm explaining that, you'll be getting it, because stakeholder engagement, I have not started it. So stakeholders, nothing but people who are involving either in the project directly or indirectly. Those people we call it as stakeholders, right? First point. Stakeholders generally will be of two different types. One is external people, second is internal people. Now, if you want to manage your stakeholders, the team size will be very big in percentage. So what is that we have to do first is that we need to use, there is a matrix called power and interest grid followed by RACI matrix. These are the two things we use. Using this, what is that we do is, first of all, we have to identify the stakeholders based upon the power and interest grid. Means how you are going to deal with people, I'm saying, right? So if this is your question, the answer is, because I'm giving a high level answer, I'm not going for a detailed part, because when I started knowledge areas, stakeholder engagement is the concept I will be explaining to you. So there you will be getting the detailed part there. So stakeholder interaction and all, everything may have in different views. Either sometimes in by person we will be interacting with those people. Sometimes virtually you will be interacting with them or sharing the documents, all that. But above all, you have to choose to whom you need to interact throughout the project. That is what you need to understand first. You need to choose to whom you need to interact with, for what reason, right? So right, you see, you need to meet the right person for the right decision. So for that, what is required? Assume that when you talk about stakeholders, there were around 50 to 60 people. Being a PA team, is it really possible for us to interact with all these people every time for every decision? Will it be possible? Do we have sufficient time to do that? Not possible, right? So what is that we have to do is that, first of all, we have to do, that's the reason why to deal with difficult stakeholders. The first point, what is that to do before that is, first of all, we have to do stakeholder identification. The stakeholder identification we do based on two different things. One is power, second is interest. Power equal to decision making, interest equal to involvement. Means people who is having a decision making authority, which is equivalent to power, power equal to decision making. At the same time, Interest equal to involvement. Interest means people who are involving in the project, either directly or indirectly, their focus and their involvement will be there. So first of all, we have to differentiate those people. Followed by this, there is a matrix which normally we follow called as RACI matrix. We call it as. Using this RACI matrix, this stakeholder analysis and management will be done by us throughout the project. Understood, Sumit? Clear? So when I'm explaining about stakeholder engagement, I'll be explaining that. Because the first knowledge area as a part of business analysis, planning and monitoring, there we'll be getting that.
Yeah, that makes it clear. Thank you.
Yeah, my question is a little bit long. Can I speak it here? My question was, all of these we have covered today, do I need to get all this information from the client on the first meeting we get, or we have a couple of more meetings so that I can collect all this information from the client? Is it a first time meeting that I can collect all the data I need from the client so that I can put up a file or a document for the developers to follow up? Or we have several meetings, we meet with the client and then another meeting, or it's done all in one round?
Done? Question over? Is that your question completed?
Yes, sir.
Okay. See, as you stated, see, in the first meeting itself, we don't get the information because collecting the information, interacting with the stakeholders is a continuous process, right? So whatever the explanation I have given so far and whatever the explanation I have given in reference to the role of a BA will not be happen on a single sitting, right? It won't happen because due to unavailability of the stakeholders or the right people, or maybe because of the clarity initially, what is that they don't have all that stuff. What we have to do is that it is a continuous process. Normally for analysis, planning and design itself will takes not less than 3 months time. Usually in traditional way of approach I'm talking about, normally it takes 2.5 to 3 months time, right? So because initially interacting with customer, sometimes initially to start with, customer itself will not have a clear mind, right? So he also in a state of confusion, what is that he wants. From there it starts, journey starts from there. Sometimes of course some customers will be very clear with their what is that they want and all, they'll be very clear with that, but few people not. So series of meetings will be conducted in regular intervals to do all that, do all these whatever I have mentioned you so far, all that. So this will not be done on a one time or two times. It won't happen.
Thank you, sir.
That's right. In what condition business analyst introduced to a project during the middle of the project rather than the beginning? See, conditions means sometimes business analyst, whoever is working senior business analyst might be resigned his job, right? So they may require senior business analyst to manage team, to manage stakeholders in middle of the project. So that could be the condition usually. It happens sometimes, because I don't say that, I'm not exaggerating. It happens sometimes. But whereas whenever we take in a business analyst, a job will be given to someone, normally we will be putting them in for a new project usually. But it will not happen in all the case, right? Because everywhere there are two things applies. One is if, second is else, right? So else condition happens sometimes. So in middle of the project also, not in the beginning. I think this is your question, right? What condition is a business analyst introduced to a project during the middle of a project rather than the beginning? The condition is that, right? So because if some of the business analysts might be resigned the job, or somebody is not performing well, or somebody is not interacting, usually it won't happen, because once the person has started his journey from the beginning with the stakeholders and all everything, they'll be patched up with them. So that patch up will be there, right? So you don't require to change the BA, but there will be some exceptional cases, maybe due to the resign or any other reasons. We may require, or we may require an additional manpower. That also could also happen, right? May not be because of the person was left, maybe due to what we call due to additional manpower, you may be requiring it. Right, so that was the reasons. What is ITBSA? Can you name the full form of it? Can you tell me the full form of it, Saurabh? ITBSA. What is ITBSA stands for? Okay, fine. Can you give please an example due respect to project manager and BA? Yeah, I think I have given an example, right? Project manager is responsible for the whole project, wherein business analyst is responsible only for the requirements, whatever the requirements, solutions, and all that. That's what the major role for a BA we play. But project manager is responsible for the whole project. So whether the people are completing project on time, do they have all the required infrastructure, team management, work breakdown structure, all these things has to be taken care of by the project manager. Whereas being a BA, we don't do that. Right. So that's what the point is. This is for you, Shafali. I think this is the question aspect.
Uh, Actually, I got your point, like project manager and business analyst. Then, after starting of the project, business analyst get all the requirements. What will do the in the middle of the project if project manager is handling everything?
See, project manager is handling doesn't mean project manager will be doing his work right from day to day, right? When there is a complaint, when there is a readdressal system which is required, project manager will be involved. Otherwise, each and every person who is involving in the project will have their own roles and responsibilities, which they are doing so. As long as everything is going on fine, so there is no interaction of a project manager on hourly basis, right? Day-to-day basis, progress and status of the work is what project manager do, right? So business analyst is focused more on the stakeholder management, right? Business analyst always try to see from that angle, because all of a sudden in between customer wants to change the requirements or he want you to add something. So that sort of challenges BA faces. Project manager is responsible for the overall project completion. That is the difference. You're clear, Shafali?
Yeah, thank you, sir.
See, future system is nothing but simple. See, in order to retain your customer, what could be their future needs? That is what you need to assess. That's what, that of course, this is an optional thing, but why I have said, this is the question from Lohani, right here. So the future system means you should be able in a position to understand what could be the future needs. So on that context, I'm saying, right, we are not developing a future system here. And it's not our job even here, right? See, POS system, nothing but point of sale system. Whenever you go to a shop, whatever the billing you do, right? So on the billing counter, whatever they do, right? So they take the product, they scan the product, right? So product will be displayed there. They'll mention the quantity. Finally, you get the bill, you are paying bill and you're coming out. That's what we call it as POS system. Simple. This is for Anisha, right? So that's what it is. And this is from Lakpa. Are there various different business solutions beside cloud-based? There could be, right? So one, say as an example, I have taken cloud-based point of sale system. There could be anything, but based upon the business problems, what is that they are identifying? What is that I have mentioned so far? I felt developing a cloud-based point of sale system would be the right choice. That's the reason I have given that. But in reality, we don't come up with one solution, right? So we come up with multiple things, which is feasible, which is amicable. All this, finally, we come to a conclusion. But that sort of confusion I should not create when I'm explaining sessions to the students. So hence, I have given a concrete solution here as cloud-based point of sale system. That was the thing. I think you got the answer. This is from Prati. this will vary. Business analyst team will vary from 1 to 3 people, right? Usually that's what it is. Depends on the size of the project. It may go up to 4 even. Right? So 4 people will be involved as a BA team I'm talking about. See, there is no information technology systems business analyst. This is where most of the things will get confused. BA is a BA, right? So if you are working and if you are morely focused more on the technology, for example, I require a person who works on SAP systems, right? So that's a technical BA role. You remember, Saurabh, right? So technical business analyst means what? For example, I am using SAP system. I want someone to solve the problem from an SAP point of view. So technical BA, right? So technical BA, what is that he require apart from the roles and responsibilities, apart from the knowledge areas, he need to have a clear understanding about the SAP system. Maybe for example, MuleSoft I am using in my application for integration purpose. I require someone who wants to address the problem from that and provide solution. So I require a business analyst in MuleSoft, right? So business analyst in MuleSoft. That's it. I think you understood, Saurabh. Clear. Yeah, how to write user stories? Yes, I will explain it later, right? So there is a process to say that as a system user action followed by the result, all that I'll explain it later. That's what I'm saying, Saurabh. See, business systems analyst means business analyst with system analysis experience, means technical knowledge experience is also required. BA role remain constant everywhere. Depends on the kind of profile you are handling. Whatever the technical skills or whatever the other skill sets do you require to adopt and all, everything will be add on. That's the reason why they have given the designation called IT business analyst. Some people called a systems analyst, some people called business systems analyst, some people called information technology business systems analyst. So these are the roles which was designed in an IT organization the way they comfortable with. Don't please be confused with it. Role of a BA remains constant, right? Depends on the kind of project, depends on the kind of responsibilities, depends on the organization. Whatever the additional skill sets do you need to require and all, everything will vary. It will not be the same, right? It will not be the same. At the same time, designation, whatever they give is also the time, right? So there is no much difference. BSA, what is BSA stands for? Business Systems Analyst, means business analyst, but he need to have a detailed understanding about systems. What kind of systems? Again, here is a question. What is systems analyst means? Is he repairing the system? Is he repairing the laptop or a desktop? No. Systems analyst means he need to understand the system. What kind of system it was? Either it may be, they may be using Oracle. They need to have experience in Oracle applications. If it's an SAP system, they need to have an understanding about SAP. If it's an ERP system, they must be having an understanding about ERP system. That's how the difference is. So don't get confused on it. So yours is a healthcare BA. If someone is asking you, you tell them that I'm a healthcare BA. You are not a BSc, subject to correction. Clear, sir? Security analyst, again, that role is different because whatever the security to maintain it, security analyst will be there, credit analyst will be there. If that was the case, there will be financial analyst also. Analyst will be in different means, right? It need not be a business analyst all the time. Business analyst, security analyst, systems analyst, financial analyst, market analyst, credit analyst. Security analyst means who takes care of security of the application or the infrastructure. So those people we call it as security analyst, right? So designations roles depends on the profile, whatever. See, for example, I want a person who wants to maintain security of my project, right? So I want an analyst in a security perspective, not a business perspective, because he is not gathering any business requirements, nothing. He need to know about the firewalls protection, all that stuff, routers, firewalls, all that. That's what it is.
Hello, I joined the middle of meeting, so I'm quite curious about is this only training for BA or you guys going to train QA as well?
Business analyst with healthcare. Healthcare BA is what I may be giving now. After that, it will get continued as a QA, which will be handled by next. That's what the question is,
Okay.
right? So I think it was mentioned prior in itself. I think you joined in middle, right? Okay.
Yeah.
Business solution, which is, so business solution is what? See, cloud-based point of sale system is a business solution. Why? Based upon the business problems, what is that we have understood so far? The solution, whatever cloud-based point of sale system is, you're developing an application on cloud environment. For example, Amazon, using Amazon, Windows, Azure and all, we are developing application on cloud account. So what is that you can do being a user is they'll be giving some login credentials. Simply you can log in and you can use it. Simple. That's it. That's only cloud-based point of sale systems. SAP, see, this is an ERP application, ERP packages. SAP is a company by itself on their own. But at the same time, they have an SAP software, ERP, enterprise resource planning products are there. Different products are there. Operational feasibility means how to operate, right? So because I am developing an application, I have given it the task, I have given a project to you. Are you able in a position to use the application? Right? So that should be the case first, because it's not the view, what is that I understood. End of the day, I should be able in a position to understand what kind of operational difficulties people were facing in order to maintain, right? So operational feasibility relating to that means you need to develop an application where it should be an operational and user friendly to the people. So that also we have to keep it in mind. Simultaneously, or it will be including training later. Yeah, healthcare topics will be covered. Yes, Anshika. Yes, healthcare topics will be covered because once the BA training is done, healthcare topics will also be included into that. Yes, it will be included. Yeah, so there is a slight difference between business analyst in reference to the healthcare BA. There are some slight variations. I'll tell you that. Because you need to understand about healthcare system, you need to understand about what are the different plans do we have, right? So that sort of healthcare plans, all that. So that understanding, that is difference. So that I will explain you when I'm starting healthcare related stuff. I'll explain that to you. Cloud environment means cloud account, because Windows, Azure, or AWS, Amazon, right? All that. So iPhone you are using, right? For example, iPhone, iCloud, right? Is there. What was that? It's a cloud environment. Cloud environment means your data is storing on the cloud account. It is not in your system or somewhere, or in your laptop or a desktop or your mobile. It's a cloud environment. If you want to access any information, giving credentials and all, you can access your information from the cloud. That's what that is. That's what the thing is. I think I've solved. Yeah. Okay. Right. I think questions were completed. Yeah. So this is what it is. And tomorrow I'm going to explain you about. Yeah. Thank you. So tomorrow I'm going to explain about Scrum Master and how it is product owner. Of course, this is in high level view. Please don't take it in account as a part of BA. Scrum Master product owner is different. But as far as the career transformation itself is concerned, how this career may be transformed in future, on that grounds, I have written these 2 points to you. That's only the thing. Yes, later I'll be giving BRD, FRD. I think yesterday I have shown you some template by someone has asked me. I've shown you that BRD, FRD templates and all. I will show you at the same time. Yeah, I will show you that. Yeah. Okay then. Thank you and have a nice day. Manik, are you there? Manik?